The unexpected alliance, the bridge of the UES horizon, shook violently as another plasma bolt struck their shields. Commander Alina Vasquez gripped her command chair and watched the tactical display with growing concern. 3 Keltharian battleships surrounded their position, their massive hulls gleaming like black diamonds against the stars. "Shields at 30%, Commander," reported Lieutenant Marcus Chen from the engineering station. His voice remained steady despite the chaos around. "Them, if they keep this up, will be space dust in 10 minutes. Alina had been patrolling the Outer Rim territories when the distress signal reached them. The message came from New Geneva, one of humanity's newest colonies. The transmission was brief and terrifying. Keltharian ships had appeared without warning, destroying everything in their path. The colony's defense platforms lasted less than 5 minutes against the alien assault. "Any word from the other colonies?" Alina asked her communications officer. "Nothing from New Geneva, ma'am. But we're receiving emergency signals from 3 other systems. The Keltharians are hitting them all at once." Ensign Sarah Park's face was pale as she delivered the news. "It looks like a coordinated attack across the entire frontier." Alina felt a chill run down her spine. The Keltharian Empire had been expanding for decades, consuming every species they encountered. Their technology was superior, their numbers overwhelming, and their tactics ruthless. Most civilizations surrendered after the first attack, hoping to preserve some remnant of their people. Those who resisted were completely eliminated. Humans had only made contact with the galactic community 5 years ago. Their technology was considered primitive by galactic standards. Most alien species viewed them as harmless newcomers who would eventually be absorbed into one of the major empires. The Keltharians apparently decided not to wait. "Commander, I'm detecting another ship on long-range sensors," reported Lieutenant Tom Rodriguez from the sensor station. "It's drifting about 2 million kilometers from our position. The configuration doesn't match any Keltharian vessel I know." Alina studied the tactical display. The unknown ship was small, roughly the size of a human frigate, but its design was completely alien. More importantly, it was broadcasting a distress signal on multiple frequencies. "Can you identify the species?" she asked. "Checking the database now." Rodriguez worked quickly at his station. "According to our records, it's a Zephyrian vessel. The Zephyrians are a peaceful species from the Andromeda sector. They're known for their advanced medical technology and diplomatic skills." Alina frowned. The Zephyrians lived thousands of light years from human space. What was one of their ships doing in this remote sector? More importantly, why was it damaged and drifting? "Commander, incoming transmission from the lead Keltharian vessel," Ensign Park announced. "Put it through." The main screen flickered and displayed the image of a Keltharian commander. The alien's features were sharp and angular, with skin that looked like polished obsidian. Its eyes glowed with an inner fire that spoke of barely contained violence. "Human vessel, you are trespassing in territory claimed by the Keltharian Empire," the alien commander said. Its voice was like grinding metal. "Surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in your destruction." Alina stood up from her command chair. "This is Commander Alina Vasquez of the United Earth ship Horizon. These are human colonies you're attacking. We don't recognize your territorial claims." The Keltharian commander's expression didn't change. "Your recognition is irrelevant. Your species is now subject to Imperial authority. Submit or be destroyed." "We choose option 3, Alina replied calmly. "There is no option 3. There is now." Alina gestured to her communications officer. End transmission. The screen went dark. Around the bridge, her crew looked at her with a mixture of admiration and terror. They all knew what she had just done. She had declared war on the most powerful empire in the galaxy. Rodriguez, how long until we can reach that Zephyrian ship? She asked. At maximum speed, about 40 minutes. But Commander, the Keltharians will intercept us long before then. Alina smiled grimly. Not if we give them something else to think about. Chen, I want you to overload our main deflector array. When those battlecruisers get close, we'll hit them with everything we've got. Ma'am, that will drain our entire power grid. We'll be sitting ducks afterward. Better than being dead ducks right now. Alina turned to her pilot. Martinez, plot a course for the Zephyrian vessel. Full impulse power. The horizon surged forward, its engines pushing the ship to its maximum speed. The Keltharian battle immediately moved to intercept their massive forms cutting through space like predators closing in on prey. 30 seconds until they're in optimal firing range, Rodriguez reported. Alina watched the tactical display intently. The Keltharians were following exactly the attack pattern she had hoped for. All three ships were converging on the horizons. Position, leaving themselves vulnerable to a concentrated counterattack. Now, Chen. The deflector array erupted in a blinding flash of energy. The concentrated beams struck the lead Keltharian battlecruiser directly amidships, overloading its shields and causing massive explosions along its hull. The ship spun out of control, its engines failing as secondary explosions ripped through its structure. The other two Keltharian ships immediately broke off their attack, moving to assist their damaged companion. It was exactly what Alina had hoped for. The horizon raced away from the battle, its depleted power systems slowly beginning to recharge. Impressive tactics for a primitive species, came a new voice from the communications system. The speaker sounded different from the Keltharian. Commander. The voice was melodious, almost musical in its cadence. This is Commander Vasquez. Who am I speaking with? I am Navigator, Litharan, of the Zephyrian exploration vessel Serenity. We have been monitoring your battle with the Keltharian forces. Your courage is... unexpected. Alina felt a surge of relief. The Zephyrian ship was still operational, at least partially. Navigator, we're on our way to your position. What's your status? Our engines are damaged, and our life support systems are failing. We have perhaps 2 hours of breathable atmosphere remaining. But Commander, you should not risk your vessel for us. The Keltharians will return in greater numbers. Let us worry. About that, Alina turned to her crew. Martinez, how long until we reach them? 25 minutes at current speed, ma'am. Chen, status on our power systems. Shields are back online, but at reduced capacity. Weapons are operational, but we won't be able to pull that deflector trick again anytime soon. Alina nodded. 25 minutes to reach the Zephyrian ship, and maybe another hour to effect repairs and evacuation. The Keltharians would be back long before then, probably with reinforcements. But she had made her decision. Navigator Lai Siren, we're coming to get you. Prepare your crew for possible evacuation. Commander, I must ask why you are doing this. Our species have never met before today. We have no alliance, no treaty that would compel you to risk your lives for ours. Alina thought about the question for a moment. Why was she doing this? The logical thing would be to retreat back to human space and warn Earth about the Keltharian threat. Instead, She was risking her ship and crew to save a group of aliens she had never met. "Because it's the right thing to do," she said, finally. "And because I have a feeling we're going to need all the friends we can get." The Horizon continued its race toward the damaged Zephyrian vessel. Behind them, the Caltharian ships were regrouping, their damaged companion limping away from the battle zone. Alina knew they would be back soon, and when they returned, they would bring overwhelming force. "Commander, I'm detecting multiple ships jumping into the system," Rodriguez reported. "Long-range sensors show at least 8 Caltharian vessels approaching our position." Alina felt her heart sink. 8 ships, including the 3 they had already encountered. The Horizon was fast and maneuverable, but it couldn't outrun that many pursuers while towing a damaged alien vessel. "How long until they reach us?" "Approximately 1 hour, ma'am. And how long to repair the Zephyrian ship?" Chen ran quick calculations on his console. "Based on what Navigator Lithuan has told us about their damage, at least 2 hours. Maybe 3. The math was simple and brutal. They would have to hold off 8 Caltharian battlecruisers for at least an hour longer than was physically possible. Alina looked around the bridge at her crew. These were good people, brave people, who had followed her into an impossible situation. They deserved better than to die in the middle of nowhere, fighting odds that no sane commander would accept. Asterisk. But they also deserved to know that their sacrifice meant something, that their actions would make a difference in the larger war that was surely coming. "All hands, this is the commander," Alina announced over the ship's intercom. "By now you all know our situation. We're outnumbered, outgunned, and out of time. The smart thing to do would be to run back to Earth and let someone else handle this problem. But we're not going to do that. We're going to save those Zephyrian survivors. And we're going to send a message to the Caltharian Empire. We're going to show them that humans don't abandon their allies, and we don't back down from a fight." She paused, looking out at the stars ahead of them. "I won't lie to you. Our chances aren't good. But sometimes the right thing to do isn't the easy thing. Sometimes you have to take a stand, even when the odds are against you. Especially when the odds are against you." The bridge was silent for a moment. Then Martinez spoke up from the pilot station. "Commander, speaking for the crew, we're with you, all the way." Alina felt a surge of pride in her people. This was what made humans different from other species. Not their technology or their military might, but their willingness to fight for principles bigger than themselves. "Rodriguez, send a message to the Zephyrian ship. Tell them we'll be there in 10 minutes. And Lieutenant," she turned to her communications officer, "send a priority message to Earth Command. Tell them the Caltharians have made their move, and humanity is officially at war." The Horizon raced through space toward an uncertain fate. Behind them, the Caltharian fleet was closing in. Ahead of them, a damaged alien ship held the first piece of what might become an impossible alliance. And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, the fate of multiple species hung in the balance. Asterisk, the human factor. The rescue operation proceeded with military precision despite the chaos surrounding them. The UES Horizon had docked with the Zephyrian vessel Serenity just as the alien ship's life support systems began their final failure sequence. Alina watched from the bridge as her crew worked alongside the Zephyrian survivors to transfer critical data and personnel. Navigator Lithuan had proven to be a graceful being, standing nearly 8 feet tall, with pale blue skin and large, expressive eyes that seemed to hold depths of ancient wisdom. Unlike the harsh, angular features of the Caltharians, The Zephyrian's appearance was almost ethereal, with flowing movements that reminded Alina of dancers. "Commander, we have successfully transferred all 17 survivors from the Serenity," reported Chief Medical Officer Dr. Amanda Foster over the intercom. "Navigator Lytherin is requesting permission to join you on the bridge." "Permission. Granted, Martinez. How long until the Keltharian fleet reaches us?" 43 minutes, ma'am. "They're pushing their engines hard." Elena turned as Navigator Lytherin entered the bridge. The tall alien moved with obvious difficulty, favoring one leg where medical bandages were visible beneath the flowing robes of office. "Commander Buscus, on behalf of my crew, I offer our deepest gratitude for your actions today. We had resigned ourselves to death when your ship appeared." Lytherin's voice carried a musical quality that made even formal statements sound like poetry. "What happened to your ship, Navigator? The Zephyrian territories are on the other side of the galaxy." Lytherin's large eyes grew dim. "We were not always so distant from this region, Commander. 3 months ago, the Keltharian Empire launched a massive offensive against our home worlds. 17 star systems fell in the first week. Our fleet was destroyed, our colonies burned, our people scattered to the stellar winds." Alina felt a chill run through her. If the Keltharians could destroy the Zephyrian civilization so quickly, what chance did humanity have? The Zephyrians had been a spacefaring race for thousands of years, with technology far more advanced than anything humans possessed. "How many of your people survived?" she asked quietly. "Perhaps 50,000, scattered across the galaxy in small refugee groups. The Serenity was carrying the last of our governmental archives and historical records. We had hoped to find sanctuary in the neutral zones, but the Keltharians pursued us even here." Lieutenant Rodriguez looked up from his sensor station. "Commander, the Keltharian fleet has split into 3 groups. 4 ships are moving to intercept us directly, while the other 4 are taking flanking positions. They're trying to box us in." Alina studied the tactical display. The Keltharian commander had learned from their earlier encounter and was now using more sophisticated tactics. There would be no escape route this time, no clever maneuvers to even the odds. "Navigator, your people have been fighting the Keltharians for months. What can you tell us about their weaknesses?" Lytherin moved closer to the tactical display, studying the enemy formations with obvious expertise. "The Keltharians are a proud species, Commander. They believe themselves superior to all other forms of life. This arrogance is both their greatest strength and their most exploitable weakness. How so? They follow rigid tactical doctrines that have served them well for centuries. Their commanders are trained to expect certain responses from their enemies. When a species deviates from expected behavior, the Keltharians often struggle to adapt." Alina felt a spark of hope. "What kind of unexpected behavior?" "In all our encounters, the Keltharians attacked with overwhelming force, expecting quick surrender. When we chose to fight, they increased their aggression until we were crushed. They have never faced an enemy that grew stronger under pressure." "Are you saying they've never encountered a species that fights back effectively?" "Precisely. The Keltharians conquer through intimidation and superior firepower. They have no experience with opponents who use unconventional tactics or who refuse to accept defeat." Alina turned to her crew. "Chen, status on our weapon systems." "All systems operational, ma'am. We've got full torpedo loadouts, and our energy weapons are charged." "Martinez, can you get us into the middle of their formation?" Her pilot looked at the tactical display with growing understanding. "You want to attack them from the inside. Ma'am, that's suicide. We'll be surrounded by hostile ships with no escape route. Exactly. They'll be so focused on not hitting each other, won't be able to use their superior firepower effectively. Alina smiled grimly. Sometimes the best place to hide is in plain sight. Navigator Lythran's eyes widened with what might have been admiration. Commander, this is precisely the kind of thinking that the Keltharians do not expect. Your species thinks in ways that confuse their strategic planners. Rodriguez, patch me through to the Keltharian fleet commander. The main screen flickered to life, showing the same obsidian-skinned alien commander they had encountered earlier. This time, however, 7 other Keltharian officers flanked him, their expressions uniformly hostile. Human vessel, you are surrounded and outnumbered. Surrender immediately, and your deaths will be swift. Alina stepped forward. Commander, I have a counter-proposal. Withdraw from human space, and we'll let you keep your ships. The Keltharian commander's eyes flared with anger. You dare to threaten us? We are the Keltharian Empire. We have conquered 1,000 worlds, and now you've met humans. We're about to make it a very educational experience. Alina gestured to her communications officer, who cut the transmission. Around the bridge, her crew was looking at her with expressions ranging from terror to excitement. All hands, prepare for combat. Martinez, take us straight into the center of their formation, full impulse power. The horizon shot forward like a missile, its engines pushing the ship to maximum velocity. The Keltharian ships immediately moved to intercept, but Alina had counted on their predictable response. As the human vessel raced toward the gap between 2 battle cruisers, both enemy ships turned to bring their weapons to bear. Now, Alina shouted. The horizon's torpedoes streaked out in multiple directions, each one programmed with targeting data that Navigator Lythran had provided. The Keltharian ships found themselves in a deadly crossfire, unable to return fire without risking their own vessels. Explosions bloomed across the hulls of 3 Keltharian battlecruisers as the torpedoes found their marks. The enemy formation began to break apart as individual ships maneuvered to avoid further damage. Chen, continuous fire on all targets. Don't let them regroup. The horizon's energy weapons lanced out in every direction, keeping the Keltharian ships off balance. The human vessel twisted and turned through the enemy formation like a dancer, too small and fast for the massive battlecruisers to target effectively. Commander, we're receiving a transmission from the Keltharian fleet, reported Ensign Park. It's not from the commander we spoke with earlier. Put it through. A new Keltharian face appeared on the screen, this one bearing the elaborate insignia of a high-ranking officer. Human vessel. This is Admiral Krathma of the Imperial Fleet. Your tactics are ... unusual. We offer you one final chance to surrender, Alina. Could hear something in the alien's voice that hadn't been there before. Uncertainty. The Keltharians were starting to doubt themselves, questioning their assumptions about human capabilities. Admiral, we appreciate the offer, but we're just getting started. In fact, we've got a few more surprises for you. She turned to Navigator Lythran. Can your people help us target their command systems? Indeed, the Keltharians use a centralized command structure that coordinates their fleet movements. If we can disrupt their communications network, their ships will be unable to coordinate their attacks. Alina smiled. Chen, prepare a focused EMP burst. Target their fleet coordination systems. The Horizon's deflector array charged with energy for the 2nd time that day. This time, however, the pulse was carefully modulated to disrupt electronic systems rather than cause physical damage. The energy wave swept across the Keltharian fleet, causing their ships to lose formation as their communication systems failed. All ships, this is Admiral Krathma, came a panicked transmission. Regroup at coordinates ... coordinates ... Why are our systems failing? The Keltharian fleet began to break apart as individual ships lost contact with their command structure. Some vessels continued to attack the horizon, while others attempted to retreat to a safe distance. The carefully orchestrated assault had dissolved into chaos. "Commander, this is unprecedented," Navigator Litharin said, his voice filled with wonder. "In all our encounters with the Keltharians, they have never shown such confusion. Your species fights in ways that completely disrupts their strategic thinking." Alina watched the tactical display as the Keltharian ships struggled to re-establish their formation. "Navigator, what would happen if word of this battle reached other species in the galaxy? It would change everything. The Keltharian Empire's power rests on their reputation for invincibility. If other species learned that humans could fight them successfully, they might start fighting back themselves." Precisely, the galaxy is full of species that have been conquered or intimidated by the Keltharians. If they saw that resistance was possible, the Empire could face rebellions across hundreds of star systems. Alina felt the weight of that realization. This wasn't just about saving one alien refugee ship or protecting human colonies. This was about showing the entire galaxy that the Keltharians could be defeated. "Rodriguez, are you still monitoring?" "Their communications?" "Yes, ma'am. They're trying to re-establish contact with their command ship, but our EMP pulse caused significant damage to their systems." "Can you record everything they're saying?" "Already doing it, Commander." Alina turned to Navigator Litharin. "Can your people help us broadcast this battle to other species in the galaxy? Our communications technology is more advanced than what the Keltharians possess. If we can reach a Zephyrian relay station, we can transmit across the entire galactic network. Then that's what we're going to do." Alina looked around the bridge at her crew. People were about to make history. The Keltharians think they can intimidate the galaxy into submission. Let's show them what happens when they pick on the wrong species. The battle continued for another hour, with the horizon dancing through the Keltharian formation like a ghost. The human ship's unconventional tactics kept the enemy off balance, while Navigator Litharin's tactical knowledge helped them target critical systems on the alien vessels. By the time the fighting ended, 3 Keltharian battlecruisers had been destroyed, and the remaining ships were retreating toward the edge of the system. The mighty Imperial fleet had been defeated by a single human vessel and a handful of refugee survivors. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission from Earth Command," reported Ensign Park. "They want a full report on the situation." Alina stood in the center of the bridge, looking out at the stars where the Keltharian ships were disappearing into hyperspace. "Tell them that humanity has officially entered the galactic war. And tell them that we're not fighting alone anymore, Navigator." Litharin approached her, moving with the fluid grace of his species. "Commander, on behalf of all free species in the galaxy, I thank you. Today, you have shown that the Keltharian Empire is not invincible. Word of this victory will spread to every corner of the galaxy." Alina nodded, feeling the weight of what they had accomplished. "Navigator, would your people be willing to share their knowledge with humanity? We're going to need all the help we can get in the war that's coming." "It would be our honor, Commander. The Zephyrians have always believed that knowledge should be shared freely. Today, You have proven that humans are worthy allies. As the UES Horizon set course for Earth, carrying its cargo of alien refugees and the promise of a new alliance, Alina knew that everything had changed. The Keltharian Empire had ruled the galaxy through fear and intimidation, but humans had shown that there was another way. They had proven that courage and ingenuity could triumph over overwhelming odds. The war was far from over, but for the first time in decades, the galaxy had hope, and that hope had a name: humanity. In the depths of space, the Keltharian Admiral Krathma stared at the tactical display showing the retreat of his fleet. Never in the Empire's history had they suffered such a defeat at the hands of a supposedly primitive species. The humans had fought with tactics that defied everything the Keltharians understood about warfare. As his flagship limped back toward Imperial space, Krathma made a decision that would echo through the galaxy. He would recommend to the High Command that humanity be classified as a Level 1 threat, the highest possible rating. These humans were not the weak, divided species that Imperial intelligence had reported. They were something entirely new, something dangerous, something that might just bring down the Empire itself. The moment humanity entered the war, everything changed, and the aliens were right to panic. Asterisk.